We're approaching tip-off here in Spokane along with Sean Farnham and our ESPN crew. Roxy Bernstein with you, and we have a great
out on the scene this year. They'll ISO him late in the shot clock, try to allow him to go to work. He's got excellent touch for a big.
The home whites for Gonzaga is they're playing just over a mile from the kennel. This is their home away from home, just on the other side of the river from downtown Spokane. And the Oklahoma Sooners. Porter Moser bringing his guys up here to the Pacific Northwest and challenging with a very difficult quote-unquote road game here tonight.
The kennel is one of the best student sections in the country. They got 300 more students here in this arena than they do in their home building.
And they've doubled the attendance for a game like this by moving it to the arena. And a three from the outside. Darion Reed gets it going for the Sooners as we take a look at tonight's starting lineups, brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers.
This OU team can do exactly that. They made 11 three-point shots in their first contest, shooting 37% as a team. Gonzaga's wings are going to be tested in this game with good ball movement by the Sooners group.
First possession for the Zags. Shot clock at 5. Graham Ike over the wing. Braden Smith trying to dump it inside, and the Zags turn it over. Here comes Nigel Pack for OU. The starting five for the Sooners presented by Bad Boy Mowers. Nigel Pack missing a deep three, and it trickles into the Zags bench. We're going the other way. It belongs to the guys wearing white. Both teams convincing blowout wins on opening night Monday. And as Sean told you, the Sooners lit it up 102 points against St. Francis in Norman on Monday, while the Zags just down the street hammered Texas Southern, put up 98 points in that one. Adam Miller, three.
One of the key transfers and good additions for this Gonzaga team, the well-traveled Adam Miller. Last year's Gonzaga team struggled to knock down three-point shots with any kind of consistency, and Adam Miller brings that.
Slipping to the bucket and dropped in by Darion Reed for Oklahoma. He has all 5 for the Sooners. Adam Miller moving in. Braden Smith, who redshirted last year for Gonzaga after 2 years out east at Colgate. Graham Ike out of the double team. Again, the late shot clock for the Zags. And stepping on the sideline, Adam Miller, a Gonzaga turnover, already their second.
I think one of the biggest keys, as it always is for a team facing Mark Few and the Gonzaga Bulldogs, is can you take him out of transition? And a good start early here for the Sooners, being able to get back and force the Bulldogs to have to play in their half court. Now, the other night you mentioned the blowout win for Oklahoma. In the first half, they did not play great defense. Second half, they really locked in and were a lot better.
Foul and 1 counted. Xavier Brown for OU. Porter Moser in his 5th season at Oklahoma. Had a great run at Loyola of Chicago prior to moving to Norman. 22nd overall season as a head coach, and he got them to the NCAA tournament last year. Foul was on Braden Smith. Xavier Brown now 5 for 5 for the line on the young season.
Already you're starting to see how Oklahoma wants to attack the Gonzaga defense, and they're looking to create opportunities and draw guys to off the bounce. And if you don't rotate over, their positional length, the versatility that this year's Sooners team has over what they had a season ago, gives them a lot of versatility at the offensive end of the floor.
Jeremiah Fears dominated for them last year. Now more of a balanced look for Porter Moser. Adam Miller.
This is where Braden Huff wants to get to go to work.
Underneath, Graham Ike gets the roll.
That's the tough thing. You're talking about one of the best front courts in the country, and they just have great chemistry together. 6 assists on the opening night. A lot of those came to one another.
3 missed. Rebound. Here's Ike, and the Zags looking to run. Graham Ike backing his way in, and a bump called in the post on Muhammad Wagi of Oklahoma, his first.
if you're the Zags, you can continue to try to attack him, see if you can add up some fouls. The one thing the Sooners don't have a lot of is interior presence.
And Porter Moser's team is a little bit banged up coming into the season. As Adam Miller thought about it. High post, Graham Ike. And a block is called, and that's the second foul on Mohamed Woogie.
Watch on the catch. Pretty close to being an offensive foul. Ike dropped that shoulder, but that high-low entry pass. There's a multitude of defenses that Porter's going to use to try to disrupt Gonzaga. And he is not happy at all, and he is working that sideline right now because they thought position-wise they were in a good spot defensively. And as I mentioned, you pick up a couple fouls, all of a sudden you become a lot shorter against a very good front court of the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
On the drive, and the dish, in the lane, Braden Huff for Gonzaga.
Yeah, points in the paint, always a premium for the Zags, and this year that's where they want to build everything out of offensively.
Nigel Pack on a step back, tough shot, and the rebound grabbed by Graham Ike. Here come the Zags. Good job, OU getting back defensively. The trailer, Braden Smith, off on a three. Braden Huff, the offensive rebound. On the baseline, it falls off, right back to Huff. First lead for the Zags, who've scored 6 straight. Corner three. And that one's short from Jeff Wonkwo, which is checked in for Oklahoma.
Yeah, mismatch. Ike's got a huge size advantage. Poor pass that time by Huff.
Deflected by Nigel Pack. It'll be a Gonzaga ball on the baseline. Tight early in Spokane.
Team is going to be very much so in the mix. He loves the depth. He says he's still got to figure out exactly the right concoction and makeup for certain lineups, but the versatility, the toughness, the physicality that they bring at the defensive end of the floor have been the things that he's noticed that have stood out to him early this year.
When he's talking up a team like he has been, that leads me to believe he thinks that there is a real special capability with this group.
Well, I think part of it's going to be on the development of the point guard position.
Graham Ike goes to work on the freshman Kai Rogers making his Oklahoma debut tonight.
That's not a concern, is Huff and Ike. But, you know, when you're replacing Ryan Nembhard and Braden Smith, I asked him, I said, what grade would you give yourself? He said a C+ so far. I got to break off the rust. I've got to be sharper in making the right reads at the right time offensively, and knowing who we have to put the ball in their hands to make sure we get good possessions.
8-0 run for the Zags. And a turnover by Nigel Pack. Diving for the loose ball, Adam Miller flips it ahead. Zags look to run. Stripped, loose ball, and Oklahoma comes out of the pack with it. Here comes Xavier Brown for the Sooners. Brown drives, and the kick, Nigel Pack, rainbow three.
Braden Smith has got to be closer to Nigel Pack. He turned his head and he watched the ball. He lost location of where Pack was. That change of that angle just ever so slightly means a longer closeout, which gives a free look.
4 threes in the opener for Pack. Darting to the basket. Braden Smith's first points tonight. Six minutes in, a 2-point lead for Gonzaga.
And 10 of the 13 points have been in the paint partner.
Across the key, Braden Huff blocks the shot of Jeff Wonkwo. Tyon Grant Foster off the bench for the Zags after starting the opener. Here he is driving, stumbling, and a foul. Kai Rogers of the Sooners. Couple more Really good early season matchups coming your way tomorrow on ESPN at 1 Eastern from Chicago. Indiana takes on Marquette. And then Sunday night from Texas, the Washington Huskies and the Baylor Bears, 8:30 Eastern. 2 good matchups tomorrow on ESPN.
Yeah, I was watching studio last night during that North Carolina-Kansas game, and at halftime, Seth Greenberg was talking about Hannes Steinbach, one of the best freshmen in the country. You don't know. He's from Germany, 6'11". He has been sensational for the Huskies. And he will be a big challenge for that Baylor Bears team that's completely revamped this season in that contest tomorrow.
Brief stoppage here as Brayton Huff has some blood on the right elbow as our official Michael Greenstein noticed it. A 2-point lead for Gonzaga. You talk about the bigs for the Zags. Here they are.
Well, they're just ultra efficient. They know how to play. They have great chemistry amongst the two of them. And you just watch their composure, their balance. You know, Brayton Huff, for a big guy, he's got like butterfly feet. You know, he stays on his toes. He's able to finish accurately around the hoop. And then Graham Ike can just overpower you. The two of them combined, 4 of 5 shooting. They've got 6 total rebounds. They've been dominant in this game early for the Zags.
Backdoor, the lay, and the reverse by Mario Saint-Superi, the freshman from Spain.
And he'll figure in that point guard play as well as this season goes along. Great international experience. Played for the Spain national team over the summer in Eurobasket. Was on the floor when Luka Doncic was out there on the opposing team.
Pull up 3, Dayton Forsythe for Oklahoma.
He was a patient player last year. Didn't get a lot of minutes early. Continued to grow as the season went along, and they need him to be a big part of things this year.
Graham Ike down low, and the rebound ripped down by Tate Davis for the Sooners. And it stays with Gonzaga.
Just great ball movement offensively. Come off that screen, create that space, and if you get caught in the screen and he's got an open look, Forsythe's going to make you play. An outstanding high school career where he's the Tulsa World State Basketball Player of the Year back in 2023 when he was a junior. You know the only other guy from Oklahoma to win that award as a junior? Trae Young.
I think he was pretty good at Oklahoma.
He was pretty good. Remember that PK 80 when he showed up? Well, he came in that year talking about DeAndre Ayton and Bagley and Michael Porter Jr. We'll talk about Trae Young real quick.
Coming over, Tyon Grant Foster with a block. At the other end, Tyon Grant Foster. Step back. And Xavier Brown with the miss. And they're getting Brown for a foul as Grant Foster bulldozing through the key.
And if you haven't paid attention to Tyon Grant Foster, it's his 4th Division I school. He spent a couple of years at Indian Hills. He had multiple heart issues at DePaul that really limited him. He transferred to Gonzaga, was initially ruled ineligible, then allowed to practice. Then they determined he wasn't going to be eligible, and then they got a preliminary stay, injunction stay, that allows him to play. And he's going to be a huge part of this program this year. He can really score the basketball. Not a great shooter, but he gets to the free throw line. He lives at the free throw line.
Brayton Huff couldn't finish, and the rebound pulled down by Kual Atak for Oklahoma. And that was a big court victory for Mark Few and Gonzaga that day, getting Tyon Grant Foster eligible.
Just another weapon and another arsenal to have for a team that has much better depth this year than they've had a season ago.
Foul on Mario Saint-Superi. 17-14 Gonzaga with the lead. Here 11:50 to go in the first half. And smart play right there before the break by Nigel Pack along with Sean Farnham. Roxy Bernstein with you, and good flow to this back and forth and a high-level game for early November.
Well, the difference has been one team wants to do it from the perimeter, the other one wants to do it in the paint. Or you into the paint, and that front court has been extremely successful early on in this game and have allowed it and opened up this contest establishing exactly who the Zags want to be this year.
Gonzaga, some familiar names. If you're used to watching the Zags over the last number of years, Graham Ike, Braden Huff still here, and they've mixed in some key transfers. On the other end for Oklahoma, almost an entirely new squad for Porter Moser and the Sooners that went to the NCAA tournament, won 20 games last year. But they lost all 5 starters, and frankly, just 2 players that saw action for them last year are back with the Sooners this year.
One of those guys that you talked about, transfers, impact transfers, Nigel Pack at the free throw line right now. He started 121 of his 122 games that he's played. He was the Big 12 most improved player back in 2022. Then he went to the Final Four with Miami. That wealth of experience, and what's impressed me early on is the chemistry that this group has built. They show pressure for the first time here today against the Gonzaga. They used this the other night in their opener. But they've got a lot of scores and a lot better athleticism and versatility, in particular on the wing. Their length on the wing is much improved from where it was last year.
Power move inside and one. Braden Huff for the Zags.
Yeah, every year you look at the Gonzaga Bulldogs and you just know that there's somebody that's going to break out, and it feels like this is Braden Huff's year. Like he's been patient in this program, waiting for his opportunity to have a more substantial role, a higher usage rate. He is well prepared and well positioned to lead this team in scoring this year.
Huff averaged 11 points a game and a season ago, and primarily came off the bench, only made 4 starts for the Zags a year ago. Darion Reed lost it out of bounds. A turnover by Oklahoma. It's just their second.
When you put the ball down, you have to know where you're going. That time he just kind of dribbled to nowhere. The former McDonald's All-American. Dribbling the baseline, just gets funneled there and loses it.
Transfer from Alabama. One of the best transfer classes in the country. The Oklahoma Sooners. Braden Huff missing down low. Kept alive on the glass, then pulled down by Kuala Tak for Oklahoma.
Tak can really shoot the ball. He had 18 points in the second half.
And a travel before Tay Davis went up. Took an extra step, and the Sooners give it right back to Gonzaga. But Oklahoma last year making it back to the NCAA tournament. They lost in the first round to UConn in a tight ball game. But for the Sooners, back in the big dance for the first time since 2021. But a whole new group for Porter Moser this year. So the Zags, 26 wins. They went 26-9 last year. Won the WCC tournament. St. Mary's won the West Coast Conference. And then bowed out in the second round of the tournament to Houston. Of course, went to the Final Four. Graham Ike the miss, and the rebound tip free. Here comes Tay Davis for the Sooners. 1-on-3, driving it, and Darion Reed draws a foul despite not having numbers.
Look, Oklahoma's going to attack off the bounce in transition as well. I mean, both teams want to play with pace. And Oklahoma does a good job of having multiple players that feel like they can get, if they feel like there's a seam that they can attack, they're going to push that envelope and they're going to try to get inside. I mentioned Reed. He got off to a real hot start. He had the first 5 points in the game. A three-pointer and a drive. And now back at the free throw line. And he transferred from Alabama. He was ranked number 11 in the SC Next 100 back in 2024. Paul Biancardi does a great job every single year scouting out the top talent. And Darion Reed is a guy that I think Oklahoma Sooner fans are pretty excited to see him continue to grow and get more comfortable after playing 24 games at Alabama, averaging 6 points per contest.
Battled a hamstring injury for a decent amount of the season last year. And Reed, who was on that Alabama team that went to the Elite Eight a year ago. A record-setting year for the SEC last year. 14 teams went to the NCAA tournament, which included Oklahoma. They made up 21% of the field last year, the SEC. Step back, rolls off, and the weak side tip in by Jalen Worley for Gonzaga.
Hey, talk about transfers for Oklahoma. There's another transfer for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. He's a very good defensive-minded player from Virginia. He does a lot of his work offensively on the glass.
stays with the Sooners at this end of the floor.
He's a slasher at the offensive end. Like he's not a shooter. He's not a guy you're going to get shots for in Worley, but he had 4 steals the other night in their first game. And just aggressive, on-ball defensive player, and you need somebody like that. And I think that's what Mark Few was talking to at shoot-around about how he feels the physicality of the defense has improved, and Worley's a big part of that.
Look, Ryan Nembhard and Nolan Hickman were terrific guards for Gonzaga last year, but now there's more size and more physicality on the wings for Mark Few on Gonzaga defensively.
Well, and you can go with a very heavy defensive lineup. Innocente, Worley, Grant Foster, if you want all 3 of them out on the floor at the same time. And that's part of like the early season discovery, and part of with Gonzaga's schedule, it makes it difficult because you're playing teams like Oklahoma. You've got Creighton on Tuesday night. You're experimenting against teams that are going to be in the NCAA tournament.
Across the key, and Tay Davis a wild shot. Here comes Gonzaga, and it's Jalen Worley pushing it. Fading away, Worley, tough shot. Largest lead for Gonzaga. Open in the corner, Tate Davis rattles it out, and Graham Ike the rebound underneath for the Zags. Tyon Grant Foster. Timeout OU.
A 7-0 run in the last minute for the Zags. OU hasn't made a shot in over 4 minutes. Calm everything down.
The Zags leading the Sooners. Right now the Bulldogs on a 7-0 run after Oklahoma led by as many as 5 early in this game. But Gonzaga getting it going in their transition game and their inside presence right now, the difference for Mark Few.
And Porter Moser knew when they locked this game in that they were going to have to handle the interior presence, and that's why they specifically went out and got the exhibition games that they got. They took Texas Tech because J.T. Toppin is an All-American caliber big for Grant McCaslin and the Red Raiders, who's left-handed, and they wanted their players to defend a left-handed big like Graham Ike. Then they took on Wisconsin that plays double bigs because they knew that's what they're going to see in this game. So their exhibitions were used to try to prepare them for this moment. But early on, they've not been able to keep the Gonzaga Bulldogs away from the basket or allowing their bigs to impact this game.
Mohamed Wagee already with 2 fouls for the Sooners. Fall away on the baseline, Xavier Brown left it short. Graham Ike the rebound. Deflected out by Xavier Brown. Corner belongs to Gonzaga.
St. Superi has to be a little bit stronger with the basketball. A lot of one-handed passes early. That was a pass that even if it's complete, your teammate's guarded in the corner. The defense is right there. Just pull that ball back out and reestablish the offense.
Graham Ike off the inbound. And the runner by Ike.
That's a mistake, though, by Kai Rogers. And if you're going to try to go for the steal and you don't get it, you are now completely out of position and allowed Graham Ike basically to walk to the basket.
Ball kicked away by Oklahoma. Gonzaga running again. The trailer. Tyon Grant Foster. Too strong on the 3. And the rebound last touch by Gonzaga. It belongs to Oklahoma. The Sooners have scored 102 points on opening night. And it was a tight ball game. In fact, Sean, early in the second half, they were trailing St. Francis before the Sooners went on a lights-out 32-3 run to put that game away.
And they did it because they were sharing the basketball and they locked in defensively. In the first half, too many points in the paint were allowed. 26 points in the paint by St. Francis. You can't have turnovers against the Zags.
Transition 3. Way off from Mario St. Superi. And it is Oklahoma with the rebound. Xavier Brown pushing. Darts to the basket. And then a goaltend count the basket for Xavier Brown.
Immovable objects. Sometimes when you're driving down the freeway here in Spokane, you look out your window that says objects in the mirror seem closer than they appear. Graham Ike is that big object, and he is attacking the glass on a consistent basis.
Opening week of the college basketball season, a tremendous early season matchup between the Zags and Oklahoma. And after a good start for Oklahoma, Gonzaga's led by as many as 10. It's an 8-point game. And if you're Porter Moser and the Sooners, Sean, how do you force your way back in and just let things settle down in this game?
Well, I think part of that is handling the environment, right? And Porter told us that he had crowd noise pumped in for 3 days prior to arrival here at practice, the entire practice, just as loud as they possibly could as they were getting prepared for this game. And it's their body language, and it's taking on this simple assignment. And the first assignment would be you're minus 18 in points in the paint so far in this game. You have to keep Gonzaga out of being able to operate in that. So that means you have to do your work early on the post. If you're guarding Graham Ike, you can't allow him to bury you. You can't allow Braden Huff to bury you underneath. And then equally, and the coach is back in the studio, Coach Keats, Seth Greenberg said the same thing. One of the best ways to prohibit the interior presence is great ball pressure. And they've got to do a better job of containing the bounce and pressuring the ball.
Graham Ike and a step back.
That's not good enough. You allow the guard to drive into the teeth of your defense, get a piece of the paint. And Gonzaga offers screens on their bigs. They're going to duck in at all times. And Graham Ike, an outstanding job shaping up and having his hands ready.
Deep three on the way. Too strong from Kawal Atak. A little bit of a forced shot there, even though he's a tremendous shooter. Braden Smith lost control, recovers. Adam Miller. And that's the second foul on Xavier Brown.
We're just talking about trying to eliminate the opportunities to score. Watch as the defense starts to collapse. Kai Rogers overhelps, and when he overhelps, Ike gets to his spot, and you know he's left-handed. You've got to sit on that right shoulder and force him to turn the other way. If he gets over that right shoulder and gets that left hand, it's over.
Like our friend Bill Walton used to say, he's left-handed, he will remain left-handed for the rest of the game.
That is true. We miss Bill. Always good to remember Bill this time of year.
He would have turned 73 earlier this week. Graham Ike, 5 to shoot for the Zags. Adam Miller launches. And the rebound tip free, and the Zags get a fresh 20. Nice pass. Graham Ike to a cutting Braden Huff.
Well, if you're going to go big on big help, your guard has got to crack down inside and get in front of Braden Huff. Unable to do that. Great passing from Graham Ike.
13-2 run. Their big-to-big passing is exceptional. Foul on Braden Smith, his second. And that's team foul number 5 on Gonzaga.
It's in their system. It's in their culture. Their bigs understand how to pass the ball. They're patient. They're not rushed. The defense might be reacting. They're surveying and reading. They are comfortable with the ball in their hands. Mark Few has done that for so many years.
The Zags, who led the country in assists, almost 20 a game last year. And it's not just the play of the point guards. And Nembhard, a dynamic point guard last year. As a foul out top on Adam Miller of Gonzaga. But it's the bigs and how well they can pass also. Third annual women's basketball Allied tip-off tomorrow afternoon in Charlotte. Number 18 USC takes on 9th-ranked NC State, 3 Eastern on ESPN. Great women's matchup tomorrow.
NC State with a huge statement victory, knocking off Tennessee. Vanderbilt transfer Camille Pierre, 21 in that game. She's a player to watch tomorrow.
Reed the miss. Reed again, wide open. Rattles out the 3, was all the way down, it popped out.
Those are the shots that have to go down if you're going to win on the road. And you're not going to get a cleaner look than that.
Sooners just 3 for 12 from 3. Graham Ike gets the roll. Everything going Gonzaga's way right now.
And a technical foul on Graham Ike.
And that's also a personal. That'll be Ike's second foul with 5:34 left in the half.
And Graham Ike, an extremely emotional player. The ball goes down. And that gave him the technical foul. Not the first technical by a big. so far this year for the Zags. Braden Huff got one in night one. If you know Braden Huff, that was probably the most shocking thing of their first game for the Zags.
Mark Few still pretty animated over there and ticked off by the call. And he wants to have a couple of words with Brooks Wells, our lead official, who made the call for the technical. So that's 2 fouls on Ike and forcing him to the bench, and Mark Few still exchanging comments with Brooks Wells, working with Justin Chamion and Michael Greenstein here tonight. Deep three, Nigel Pack off the screen. And the rebound secured Mario St. Superi for the Zags. Adam Miller left open in transition. Had a clean look, and the rebound pulled down Mohamed Wagee for Oklahoma. OU in desperate need of a bucket. They're just 1 for the last 11, and that's not going to help.
And that's just frustration. I mean, Porter Moser watching, you're dribbling the ball up the floor. You don't throw it ahead early. Then you dribble and you leave your feet to make a pass, and you throw it in the stands. Now, nothing is flowing right now for Oklahoma, and you have to credit Gonzaga's defense for that. They're doing an excellent job of getting back in defensive transition. They're matching up. They're initiating their defense well beyond the three-point line and aggressively picking up in the half court.
How much is it, Sean, with so many new parts and guys trying to figure each other out and gel here early in the season for the Sooners?
For the Sooners, for everyone in college basketball. It's not just the Sooners that are going through it. I think, good drive that time by Adam Miller, but I think everybody is, Ruxy. Like, coaches are trying to figure out who they are. It's easy at practice to go, hey, I really like my group. You're practicing against each other. And then all of a sudden you get a first road test like this. This is a big test for the Sooners, playing against a team that's going to be in the NCAA tournament and be a high seed as they have been for so many years in a row. The biggest concern I have right now is the problems for Oklahoma a year ago are showing back up again here tonight. And what that is the inability to secure their defensive glass. They ranked 15th in the SEC a year ago in shoring up their defensive glass, and Gonzaga is attacking them over and over and over again. They have 8 second chance points on 7 offensive rebounds here in the first half.
Foul on Tay Davis and one free throw for Jalen Worley.
And it's hard, by the way, to find a rhythm offensively. If you look at the Sooners right now shooting 27%, it's hard to find a rhythm when you can't get stops. When your opponent's shooting 56% and you feel like you've got to do something special, you don't have to do something special. You have to breathe, you have to get back to the basics, and you have to execute. And that starts with getting good possessions. And the last couple possessions have not been great for the Oklahoma Sooners. They are 1 for their last 12.
7 now for Worley off the bench, and the Zags have ballooned the lead to 17. Oklahoma just 1 for their last 12. Have not made a field goal in over 3.5 minutes.
Just look at the defense, the active hands, the pressure from Gonzaga all over the floor. That is a tough shot.
And a much-needed bucket by Nigel Pack.
But Nigel Pack is a tough shot maker. He can hit shots off balance.
Worley slices to the bucket. 9 now for Jalen Worley. Graham Ike leads all scorers with 10. A turnover by Oklahoma. And here comes Emmanuel Inocenti off the turnover. Mario St. Superi lost it out of bounds, and it goes over to the Sooners.
Everything you could ask for from the Gonzaga Bulldogs you've seen early on. The ability to score in the paint. 34 of their...
Spokane about a mile away from the Kennel, just near downtown. Doubling the attendance by moving this game, playing off campus in the arena here. But the Kennel Club still enjoying themselves, and so are the bigs for Gonzaga tonight.
Ike and Huff, their ability to not only score but also to rebound the basketball. You pointed out 12 rebounds, but 18 points just from those two, plus 30 in the paint so far for Gonzaga on this game. I hope Kevin Connors back in studio noted the fact that I wore my plaid sports coat tonight in honor of him because he is outstanding with the plaid suit jacket.
Offensive foul, illegal screen, the third, and Mohamed Wagee.
His suit game's tight, just like yours.
And Porter Moser's got a pretty good one going over there, too, with the jacket.
That's his third personal foul, and he has had almost no impact in this game, and that's because of the size of Gonzaga. They picked up those 2 early fouls back-to-back, same possession. He picks up 2 fouls. The second one, I would say, would probably have been a charge with the way that Ike dropped his shoulder on it. But it was a sign against him. You've got to be smart and make sure that you're set. Now, on a screen like that, Roxy, it's also on the guards. You've got to have time and patience and allow that screen to set before you want to come off of it.
Gonzaga foul on Braden Huff is first. And the Sooners will shoot at the other end with 3:06 left in the half. This is an opportunity for Oklahoma to get points. Clock stop here late in the first half. 2 more men's hoops matchups. Good early season basketball for you tomorrow on ESPN. From Chicago at 1 Eastern, Indiana and Marquette. And the nightcap, 8:30 Eastern, Washington visiting Baylor tomorrow night.
Let me give you something to watch from Marquette. Chase Ross off to a great start, averaging 19, 5, and 5 with almost 3 steals per contest for Marquette. You're watching tomorrow. That's a guy you've got to watch in that game, and that's a guy that's going to be concerned for Indiana.
One more for Tay Davis, the Notre Dame transfer. Freshman year at Seton Hall, a couple of years at Notre Dame for Davis. And the senior from Indianapolis hits both free throws.
Over the final 3 minutes of this game, this first half, if you're Oklahoma, get to the free throw line. You're 9 of 9 from the foul line. Nothing has been easy. So that means you got to step up your level of aggressiveness, look to attack, and try to get downhill if you can, and get in the body of Gonzaga's defense. And maybe that'll soften them up a little bit as this game wears on and allow you to whittle away this lead going to the break.
Steele Venters from the corner. Too strong on the 3. Offensive rebound missing, and put back is Worley. Flying in, the reverse spins out for Tyon Grant Foster. One more time, Grant Foster gets it this time.
Relentless. Mark Few smiling and applauding as Tyon Grant Foster comes down the floor just time and time again.
And a foul will get Darion Reed to the line for the Sooners.
Just watch this as the first shot goes up by Steele Venters. It's Worley, and then Foster comes in. That's 1 rebound. All right, that's 2 rebounds. That one gets stripped away. He gathers himself back in, stays with it, and able to finish.
Second foul on Braden Huff, so both of Mark Few's bigs saddled with 2 fouls, 2:21 left in the half. And Reed 2 for 2 for the line. The former McDonald's All-American.
And Oklahoma did, by the way, what I said they needed to do, and that's get to the free throw line.
And it rolls in for Reed.
10 for 10 at the free throw line. 7 of 23 shooting from the floor.
They were a tremendous foul shooting team last year, Oklahoma. They were 4th in the country at just under 80%. But again, just about an entirely new roster for Porter Moser. Reed has 9 to lead the Sooners. St. Superior, the drop-off. Missing right at the rim was Braden Huff, but kept alive. No, on the end line was St. Superior.
That was one of the easier looks that Braden Huff has had in the game. That was a sensational pass.
And now Huff will check out in the first appearance for Gonzaga big man. Ismaila Diani, a sophomore from Senegal.
He's got the ability to impact the game with his length, in particular at the defensive end of the floor. Still raw and developing at the offensive end. But with this smaller lineup right now on the floor for Oklahoma, again, set screens, look to attack, find a gap and go.
Nigel Pack, the pull and the stroke from Pack. And an Oklahoma player is still down. And that's Tay Davis slow to get up.
Yeah, it kind of looked like he was grabbing his hip a little bit there. But did you see the last couple of possessions, Oklahoma's moving with better purpose. They're attacking off the bounce with purpose. Utilize a screen. Don't over-penetrate into the teeth of the defense. Take the shot from the elbow that you have. Nigel Pack, a nice job elevating there. And if you can keep this down under 10 going to the break, with as much as you've been dominated in the paint, I think you're Oklahoma. You're within 10. You're feeling okay. You're not feeling great, but you're feeling okay getting to the break.
The lob back. Boy, did he get up for that. And the steal. And a foul trying to break out was Mario Saint-Superi. So nice, we got to see it again.
You're on the baseline. You better pay attention. You lose your man, you react late. Tyon Grant Foster cuts with purpose and finishes over the top. What a great pass and finish. And it just adds to the points in the paint. 38 already in the student section, loving the fact that Tyon Grant Foster is wearing that number 7 right now in white.
That's the same bucket from a year ago where VJ Edgecombe
we don't talk about that.
Left an impact. Just pointing that out.
VJ Edgecombe, what a start he has had to his NBA career. He talked so much about the rookies in the NBA. Said Coward is off to a good start for Memphis. Obviously, Cooper Flagg, so much talked about. This year's freshman class is the best in total freshman class that we've had in college basketball in the last 2 decades. It is loaded. So buckle up, enjoy college basketball this year because it's going to be a lot of fun.
Tay Davis called for an illegal screen. And an offensive foul and another Oklahoma miscue. There was 69 seconds left in the half. Yeah, Gonzaga played in this building a year ago. They usually play one game here a year. And it was the season opener where they absolutely obliterated Baylor.
So they're shooting 53% from the field. But maybe the bigger number to look at, they have 16 more shot attempts here in the first half than Oklahoma does. 40 shot attempts to 24 here in the first half. That's how they've built this lead, and by being aggressive at attacking the paint.
Grant Foster draws a foul. And 2 shots coming for Tyon Grant Foster.
If you're Oklahoma, what you're addressing at halftime here is we haven't been able to figure out how to defend the high-low and the big-on-big passing. And you're not now being able, because you're so concerned about those bigs, you're not containing the Zags wings off the bounce, and you're allowing them to turn the corner. And that's when everything starts to flow for this offense. There's a reason why Gonzaga over the last 10 years of college basketball has had the #1 most efficient offense in the country, and you've seen it here in the first half with almost a 50 spot on Oklahoma.
One more for Grant Foster, who leads Gonzaga along with EK 10 points apiece. Grant Foster got that year of eligibility with that quote ruling back on November 4th. Started in the opener because of a mistake in the scorebook. He made the start instead of Adam Miller when Miller was supposed to start the game, and they inserted the wrong lineup on Monday into the scorebook, and Grant Foster made the start. Transition 3. Rattles in Emmanuel Inochinti. First points of the night.
In transition, the wings always run beyond the 3-point line, and if you're not there with them, they will kick and find him. Inochinti, a defensive wizard, has become much more comfortable in that catch-and-shoot situation, Roxy.
Final 10 seconds of the half. Desperation heave. And Kuala Tak comes up short, and a strong close of the half by the Gonzaga Bulldogs.
First real test, whether it's exhibition or regular season for the Gonzaga Bulldogs. And if you're going to grade their first half, it is an A-level performance at both ends of the floor, holding the Sooners to 30% shooting and dominating in the paint.
49-30, Gonzaga's largest lead of the night as we go to the studio. And our halftime report, Kevin Connors and Kevin Keats.
A piece of the paint in the first half, and that's why you see such great level of efficiency and a 34-point discrepancy in points in the paint.
Plays of the game, you saw the highlights, brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers. Mark Few and the Zags, 38-4 on points in the paint. Oklahoma with 10 turnovers. The Zags 11 assists to just 4 turnovers. If you're Porter Moser, Sean, you just met with your team in the locker room. You're talking with them here. What is your message to try to claw back into this game?
Well, first of all, they're not getting any taller, and they're not getting any stronger during the halftime break. So that means you have to be dialed in mentally to the discipline in which you're being asked to do. And that means staying true to the foundations of who you are at the defensive end of the floor. They tightened up the bolts defensively in their opener versus where they were in the first half. They're going to have to do the same thing. But I look at these first 4 minutes. Can you whittle this down to make it a 15-point game? And then in the next 5 minutes after that, can you whittle it down and make it an 8-point game with 10 minutes left to go?
Graham Ike, and the shot blocked by Mohamed Wagee.
It's possession by possession. There isn't a 10-point play.
And a transition dunk, Tate Davis for the Sooners.
That's a great start, right? Now you have to be able to replicate it over and over again, and that's the challenge for Oklahoma here. You're down 19 at the break.
Entry pass to Braden Huff. Shot clock rolling down the Zags. Huff on the block. Out of the double team. Adam Miller gets the flyby. Steps in. Too strong on the 2. And the rebound. Oklahoma saves it. Good job, Nigel Pack for OU.
You take contested 2s. Like contested 18-foot jump shots are ones you'll take.
Too strong on the 3 and the long rebound. Adam Miller. Here come the Zags. Graham Ike. Wide open at the top. And the rebound elevating is Mohamed Wagee for Oklahoma.
They need him to stay on the floor. He was extremely limited with foul trouble in the first half.
Nigel Pack, the reach and foul. Adam Miller picks up his second.
If you're Oklahoma at the offensive end, you continue to drive. You try to apply pressure off the bounce without turning it over if you can get to the free throw line. The best part of the Sooners in the first half was their ability to get to the free throw line and knock them down. 11 out of 11.
Xavier Brown weaves his way inside. Stolen. Braden Smith. Here comes Gonzaga in transition. Graham Ike fouled and run.
I mentioned this in the first half. It was Darian Reed driving to the baseline going nowhere, but a drive to the baseline going nowhere, throwing back towards your opponent's basket with wings that are capable of jumping in and stealing the ball means that you're getting a clean run out. And for Graham Ike, good dump down from Braden Smith, able to finish.
First on Nigel Pack. The and one free throw for Ike.
How great is this, Roxy, though? I mean, to be back in college basketball.
Environment like this.
Sold out, huge crowd. And one of the best front courts in the country with a program that has dominated for so long underneath Mark Few.
And one free throw for Ike. Who's on the floor for the Sooners? Brought to you by Bad Boy Mowers. One player they're still without, unfortunately, is Jadon Jones, who's still a little bit, maybe a week away from coming back. He'll make a difference when he gets back on the floor for Porter Moser. Well, tremendous wing player, outstanding defender.
And we didn't mention that Alec Blair left the program this week. Talented freshman that was 58 in the SC Next 100, and by the way, also 52nd by MLB.com for baseball. And after the first game, he made the decision to leave, which is frustrating for the Sooners. It limits them as far as numbers. They're already shorthanded a little bit, and then all of a sudden at practice, your numbers get down a little bit less, and it makes things more challenging. And he was a talented player from De La Salle High School in California, the all-time leading scorer in that program history. Some really good players that played there.
Including the guy sitting next to me.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I did go there. Good call, Roxy.
Glad I thought of it. Loose ball, picked up, and then stripped by Gonzaga from Darian Reed, and a whistle.
Yeah, kick ball. Going to go the other way.
But they were already banged up, and not just, you mentioned Blair, and we mentioned Jadon Jones. Kai Rogers just came back. Didn't play in the opener because of an injury. He hasn't practiced much for Porter Moser yet.
Now it's the Zags extending out some pressure here.
Tay Davis inside. Pull-up jumper. That's too strong from Dayton Forsythe, but kept alive by OU. And the lob and the lay-in rolls out for Tay Davis. Point blank, and it wouldn't go.
Tay Davis just 1 of 7 shooting from the floor. I mentioned earlier he hit 15 points per game last year at Notre Dame, at 14 in the opener.
Step back, Adam Miller. And the rebound there is Mohamed Wagee for the Sooners. Knocked away by Adam Miller, recovered though by Xavier Brown for Oklahoma. Still time on the shot clock. Lost by Brown. And Gonzaga takes it away.
The Sooners just look so disjointed at the offensive end of the floor.
Graham Ike down low. And the rebound, Dayton Forsythe for OU. Sooners look to run. Xavier Brown goes to the basket and got it to go.
A tough layup, contested layup in traffic that time by Xavier Brown. And first team all-conference last year in the Atlantic 10.
A couple of years at St. Joe's and transferring to Oklahoma. As back at the other end, Gonzaga finds the bottom of the net one more time.
They just hit the easy button on the offensive end of the floor. That was easy. Just one pass, Graham Ike. Yeah, go ahead and turn. I think he surprised himself that he was going to be able to have an uncontested look.
Largest lead of the night for Gonzaga. And they're running again. Adam Miller off on the 3, but chased it down and then threw it out near midcourt. And Manuel Inocenti is there for the Zags.
They're winning the 50-50 balls. They're getting offensive rebounds. They're diving on the floor. They're creating more turnovers. And it's a 20-point lead. You say, how do you build a 20-point lead? It's by execution and effort.
Braden Huff from deep. And the rebound flying through, but tipped out of bounds by Inocenti. It belongs to Oklahoma. Zags by 20 over OU. This weekend for this early season tilt between OU and Gonzaga. And we thank them all, not just these two who are helping us for this game, but so many staff members and creative sports information directors across college athletics do such a wonderful job helping us and informing us what the latest is with their team. So thank you to all the athletics, communication, the creative staff members. For more information, by the way, check out collegesportscommunicators.com/celebrateCSC.
Barry Henderson, and we showed you early from Gonzaga. He was talking to me earlier today. How's your mom doing? Mary Jane Henderson. She's a fighter. She's a warrior. She's watching. I know you're watching, Mary. I'm trying to get a good shot of your son, I promise.
You can send your complaints to Zach Norvell. Good ball movement out of the timeout. Deep 3, Nigel Pack. And the rebound, there is Graham Ike for the Zags. Leading scorers for the Zags tonight, Ike with 15. Tyon Grant Foster has 10 off the bench. He is in the game right now. And a 3 straight on, Mario Saint-Superi, the freshman from Spain.
A lot of upside in that young man. He's got a great international experience.
And an answer from Oklahoma.
A little bit of an answer back. And that's what you saw a lot more of in that first game. You saw good ball movement, relocation, aggressive hunting of the three-point shot. I mentioned they had 11 made threes in their first game. They only have 4 so far here tonight, shooting under 25% from deep.
They had a 32-3 run in the second half against St. Francis in Norman on Monday.
They could use one of those right now.
Yeah, but the competition's a little different tonight.
Well, they still could use it, Roxy.
I'm not disagreeing with that statement.
Okay.
Both can be true. But an Oklahoma team that's won 20 games each of the last 2 years. And back in the NCAA tournament a year ago for Porter Moser. On the other side, the Zags. Incredible run that they've been on. 18 consecutive years with 25 or more wins for Gonzaga. They've been to the Sweet 16 9 of the last 10 years. Open for 3. And it's short from Jeff Walkwo. There's nothing going right for the Sooners. Steel Venters cut off. EK trying to bulldoze his way inside. Underneath, off the window, and Jalen Worley with double figures now. 11 off the bench.
As you bring 2 to the ball, Worley's done a really good job of finding space where he can set up shop and have his hands ready, and that was a really good pass by Graham Ike. We talk so much about Graham Ike as a scorer, and he's obviously very efficient. He's leading the team in assists tonight. The poise and the patience, the footwork, and then understanding that Worley had deep post position, 2 feet deep in the paint, able to go up and finish with his size advantage. But Ike's growth as a passer makes this offense that much more potent.
And Worley, one of the transfers, 3 years at Florida State, then went to Virginia.
That one was shot from Coeur d'Alene.
And following up the miss, Kual Atak for Oklahoma. But Worley was set to play for Virginia last year when Tony Bennett abruptly retired. He went into the transfer portal. Steele Venters, a 3.
And his story, Steele Venters' first made shot of the game. Just tremendous resiliency over the last 2 years for Steele Venters.
As Venters missed the last 2 years. Last year was a torn Achilles. The year before was a torn ACL. So it cost him the last 2 years. Venters, who returned to the court on Monday against Texas Southern. It was his first game in a Gonzaga uniform. And the first time he played in a college game since March of 2023 when he was playing for Eastern Washington. Stepping in, deep 2, Nigel Pack can't get the roll. Graham Ike pulls it down.
And to tie a bow on why he's important to this team, he shot 37% from deep in his final season at Eastern Washington, averaging over 15 points per game. They need somebody to space the floor, and if the Zags can't hit shots, defenses will start to collapse more and more around their bigs. That's why the perimeter shooting is so important for this year's team. They don't need a lot of it, they just need enough of it.
The kick out, and a travel on Tyon Grant Foster, a turnover on Gonzaga. Just their 6th tonight. But here's the timeline on Steele Venters and what he went through to get back out onto the court.
So you think about committed back in 2023, April of 2023, and that ACL tear was like 2 days before his debut was set, and then the Achilles tear after recovering from the ACL tear. Just the mental toughness. You talk about athletes and what they go through. How about the mental toughness to come back from an ACL and an Achilles? And he's patiently waited, and he's excited now to be back out on the floor. I told him before the game, I walked up to him, I said, I've waited 2 years to be able to call a game with you in uniform on the court, and tonight he's out there and able to make, over the course of her life and the lives that she changed through education, not only at Loyola Chicago, but at so many schools before that, including St. Charles and Studio City, California.
Foul before the inbound was on Dayton Forsythe of OU. And now a foul in midcourt, a push called. Tay Davis whistled for number 4 as he knocks over Mario St. Superior.
What you're looking for if you're Oklahoma right now is some composure down the stretch here. You got 12 minutes left in a game that you've been dominated in. And shooting just 19% from beyond the arc, 31% from the field. Nothing has gone well, and meanwhile your opponent has been very comfortable at their end of the court. You need to look at this and say, we're trying to build. Their teams come in here and they come to Spokane and they do take losses. We've seen that. Ask Baylor last year on this court.
And they recovered from it. It hurt in the moment, but they did recover from it last year.
It's an evolution process. Like you talk about these big games that we see early in the college basketball season. It's not just wanting to find success. Of course, every coach wants to win every game, right? But you want to be exposed a little bit because you need to find where your deficiencies are and how you can better yourself. This is a long, long journey. It is not a sprint in the college basketball season.
They called the foul on Braden Huff, his 3rd. Going for the loose ball. Marion Reed can't get the flip. Mohamed Wagee underneath, and a putback by Mohamed Wagee, his first points of the night.
This has been limited to just 13 minutes of total action due to the foul trouble he had in the first half. He's their size underneath. When he's not on the floor, their entire defense feels different.
There is Dayton Forsythe, rather, for the rebound. Forsythe draws the contact, and it's the second on Mario St. Superi, and 2 shots coming for Dayton Forsythe. 3rd annual women's basketball Allied tip-off tomorrow afternoon in Charlotte. Number 9, NC State takes on 18th ranked USC. 3 Eastern on ESPN. A tremendous women's matchup. Lindsey Gottlieb bringing the Trojans cross country to take on NC State.
Obviously no Juju Watkins out for the season. But they've got a star freshman by the name of Jazzy Davidson. Had 14 points in their win against New Mexico State. She's potentially that new freshman star that can be added to a group of really talented players, some big-time transfers. That's going to be a good one tomorrow.
Such heartbreak when we saw Juju Watkins go down with a torn ACL in the NCAA tournament last year. And wish her the best in her recovery from that.
I mean, I remember that silence that fell over that arena like it was yesterday.
The drop off. Huff has his shot pinned to the board, out of bounds. Oklahoma ball.
Okay, so you see the impact that Wagi could have though at the defensive end of the floor. I mean, he had a bunch of block shots in their season opener. He's got that 7-foot wingspan, able to block and protect the rim. They lacked that in the first half, and they got torched in the paint because of it. He has to stay out on the floor, and he has to be smart as far as avoiding fouls that are detrimental to taking him out of the game.
Jeff Walpole comes up way short. Been a rough night for him. Braden Huff at the arc. Short on the 3. Slam. Tie on. Grant Foster. And that'll get everybody to be quiet for a moment as Oklahoma counters back the other way. And Xavier Brown now with 12. Braden Huff with the left hand. Four Zags in double figures, 46 of the 66 in the paint. And an errant pass as Xavier Brown throws it away.
Well, length and depth is something we've talked about all game long for the Zags team, and Tyon Grant Foster has a couple of times been able to show off his athleticism. He is aggressive, but it's not just about him. It's Worley. It's the depth that they have and the way that they can manufacture points. And you think about points in the paint, and there's 46 of them right now for the Zags. But Ike's got 15 of them. That's a good amount. Huff has got 10.
And Worley's got 11 off the bench.
Okay, but the rest of those guys, Worley and Tyon Grant Foster, they've applied pressure in the paint. And when you start collapsing your opponent's defense and you get them in rotations and they start, that's when you can start to really impose your will on the game. And the Zags have been able to do that really from the opening moments.
13 offensive rebounds also for Gonzaga tonight. Ike left it short inside. Tate Davis pulls it down for OU.
They made him go over his left shoulder, though. They didn't allow him to get to his right shoulder, where his natural left hand allows him to shoot at a much higher percentage and much more comfortable.
Last touch by Dayton Forsythe and Oklahoma with a turnover. If you notice, Graham Ike wearing a different number this year. He wore 13 the last couple of years with Gonzaga. Changed to 15. Now Joe Few had worn 15 the last couple of years, but now Graham is doing it to honor his grandfather, Tommy Graham. Passed away a number of years ago after a courageous battle with cancer. And the doctors told his grandfather he was only had about 30 days to live. As a foul going for the rebound. And it is on Graham Ike. And Michael Greenstein, how can you call a foul on Graham Ike? I'm telling a story about him.
Tell the story, Roxy.
Okay.
Don't deviate.
So the doctors told him he only had 30 days to live. But his grandfather ended up living an extra 15 months. And that's why Graham Ike chooses to wear number 15 now to honor his grandfather, Tommy Graham, who played in the NFL for 6 years and was a standout at the University of Oregon.
And Graham Ike is one of the most emotional and passionate players we have in college basketball. I mean, off the court, he lights you up with his smile. on the court, he feels like it's going to war. And he just loves to battle, and he loves the physicality of the game. He plays with everything he has in his system.
Here is Ike. Had it stripped. Loose ball picked up by Emmanuel Inocenti for Gonzaga. Still 10 to shoot. Adam Miller, the drop off. Foul, count it, and one. Tyon Grant Foster.
The way that Tyon Grant Foster moves without the ball, it reminds me a little bit, hear me out, Joel Ayayi. He cuts on the baseline, he finds space, able to finish with superior.
And Gonzaga has come out with a tremendous performance, highlighting their opening week here of college hoops after a win Monday at home. But now the classic competition greatly improving tonight, but still a high-level performance from Mark Few's team.
It's been an outstanding performance for the Zags. They've executed Roxy in almost every way you want. They're dominating second chance points. They're dominating on the glass. They're dominating in bench points. They're dominating in points in the paint.
And a lane violation as Tyon Grant Foster crossed. And it wipes out the free throw attempt. And it goes to Oklahoma here, by the way, the fourth foul on Mohamed Wagee.
And Tyon Grant Foster, 14 points, 6 rebounds. And the rebounds are going to be important because you can't just count on the bigs to get rebounds. Guards have to come back and crack in and get rebounds. And the toughness of guys like him and Worley, who's got 5, that's 11 rebounds from 2 of your guards. And that is a silly foul.
Foul on a 3, and Xavier Brown has a chance for 4.
Inocenti is a very good defensive player. That is at least 2 times here in the second half that the Zags have fouled jump shooters. Mario St. Superi did it at the elbow, and then that time Inocenti from deep. Stepping underneath Xavier Brown.
Brown, who averaged 17.5 a game last year for St. Joe's. And transferring to OU, but missed the free throw and runs down the loose ball. Darion Reed trying to draw contact. The tip in, Tay Davis for OU.
And Oklahoma's done some better things here in the second half. And they're only -2 on the scoreboard in the second 20 minutes so far.
That was a 5-point possession.
Well, that helps that number, doesn't it, Roxy?
Graham Ike from deep.
By the way, if you're Oklahoma, that's the shot you want Ike taking as many times as you possibly can.
Runner missed by Xavier Brown, but kept alive by Mohamed Wagee. Open on the baseline and knocked down Xavier Brown. 17 for Brown.
You can't leave the ball. Both defensive players for Gonzaga stepped away from Xavier Brown and allowed him a lot of space to lift up and knock down the mid-range jump shot. And Brown's up to 17 points now.
Graham Ike swatted by Mohamed Wagee.
This team looks completely different with Wagee out of the floor.
Balance the roll, Tay Davis.
And they just keep going on this run right now. Oklahoma showing some fight, some grittiness, a 9-0 run over the last 1 minute. So in the floor, it allows you to get in a little bit of rhythm. And when you have opponents start to make some mental mistakes, and the Zags have done that, fouling shooters on jump shots, leaving the ball here and giving up a wide open look, it starts to build confidence and your energy level picks up. And Oklahoma's been able to extend out their pressure. They've kind of baited Gonzaga into having Graham Ike take 3-point shots. And subsequently, they've been able to capitalize on it at the other end of the floor. And there's those little moments of growth that you're looking for right now in the final minutes of this game as you're trying to build towards your season. How much more fight does this team have in it down the stretch of this game, and how much tighter can it make it over the next 6 minutes?
Plus their defense in the second half.
Well, that's
where really been engaged.
That's where it starts. If you start taking away some of those looks, look, the Zags had 38 points in the first half in the paint. They only have 10 here in the second half.
Drop step, Graham Ike. 17 for Ike. That silences the 9-0 Sooners run. Darion Reed down the lane. And a foul as he got clobbered by Ike. And that's 4 on Graham Ike.
Graham Ike is trying to politely ask to stay in the game. And why? Because he's been so successful getting down low on the block. And we'll keep playing him to get over that right shoulder to get to his left hand. He spins off it, finishes the other way. That time in help side rotation. And clear contact there, an easy call. And Huff is off the bench. I imagine he's going to be coming in for number 15 in white.
And it rolls in for Darion Reed.
And Darion Reed, as we mentioned, a McDonald's All-American, hit 10th in Oklahoma history, the first one not to have been signed out of high school.
I have a feeling we're going to see more of the not out of high school former McDonald's All-Americans at Oklahoma, just with the wave of college athletics.
Well, they got a potential high school All-American coming next year. Colby and Cardi talk about the length of their recruit that's in the SC Next 100.
Reverse underneath and the scoop, Mario Saint-Superi.
He's just going to get more and more comfortable. The recruit I'm talking about, Gage Mayfield. He's 6'7" with a 7'1" wingspan. That's pretty good for a forward.
Lost by Xavier Brown. And the tie up, and the help ball belongs to Oklahoma.
The evolution of this team will be its guards and how much more comfortable they can get. You know, for Saint-Superi, we talk about this all the time. The transition, even when playing at an elite level in Europe to the game here in the United States, it takes time. And even the best players, they struggle a little bit when they first get here, and then they kind of figure out how they have to operate in how the game is played here. Just as much as you would take a really good high school All-American and you go put them over in Europe, they're going to struggle.
Nigel Pack, the scoop off the window.
And so if you've got Braden Smith, who mentioned to us at shoot-around today, he would grade himself a C+ so far on the season. And you've got Mario Saint-Superi, who's just trying to get his level of comfort locked in with the weapons they have and the versatility and the depth. This Zags team trajectory this year is pretty high.
Huff in the lane. Got his own miss underneath. Braden Huff +1.
Huff is so good on the offensive glass. Good shooters know where they're missing. Right? And Huff is consistent at just being active. He gets that shot up and the ball gets tipped out and he is aggressively attacking. The Zags have no problem sending multiple players to the offensive glass.
Third on Xavier Brown.
That is 15 offensive rebounds on the game as a team. Braden Huff just 1 rebound shy of a double-double.
Third annual women's basketball. 2 more men's basketball games. There'll be a women's game tomorrow on ESPN also in Charlotte.
Yeah.
But there's going to be 2 men's games on ESPN also. Indiana and Marquette in Chicago. They're at 1 Eastern. And then I'm looking forward to Washington and Baylor tomorrow night. A new look team for Scott Drew.
And Cam Carr, player that looks like he's found a nice home in Baylor. Nigel Pack found a nice home here at Oklahoma. A good aggressive move by him. He's got up to 13 points. Look, much better second half out of Oklahoma. If you're a Sooners fan, you've got to be happy.
Offensive foul on Mario Saint-Superi for a hook.
They call him the hook.
Third on Saint-Superi. Mark Few didn't like it.
Roxy.
Like him.
Sacrifices so many. I've got multiple family members, I'm sure you do as well, that have served our country, and always good to remember. We have colleagues of ours. Chris Spatola.
Yeah. This is the weekend we pay tribute to them. We should do it all the time. Nigel Pack on a step-back three for Oklahoma.
That looked good coming off his fingertips. Man, they have played much, much better here in the second half. And part of that is too good running floor that time.
EK lays it in.
Part of that is the Zags have to understand the level of intensity that they have to be able to try to sustain. And sometimes it's hard when you have a 19-point lead at the half to bring that same intensity out, but that's the challenge.
Here comes Jalen Worley in transition. In the lane, Worley, and then a foul after the made basket. And Graham Ike is fouled out of the game with 2:52 to go.
You watch this nice job by Worley, and then Graham Ike just steps over the top with his elbow. And that's a good call. And the fans here are not going to like it. That's fine. But and we talk about Ike. You know, it's the emotion that is a positive, and sometimes it can be a negative. We've seen a technical foul. We've seen him foul out of the game. But on the court, 19 points, 11 rebounds, 4 assists. That's an outstanding game. But you've got to make sure you're available. If this is a tight game down the stretch, it isn't. But if it is, you need him on the court in those moments. NCAA tournament come March. Some of their upcoming schedules, because the upcoming schedule for the Zags, it's not easy. It's Creighton on Tuesday night. It's a road game at Arizona State. And then you go to the Players Era event in Las Vegas, where you're going to play Alabama, who, if you watched and paid any attention today, Alabama dropped 103 on St. John's.
Pack hits both. Plus the Zags will have Maryland, Kentucky, UCLA, Oregon, all on their non-conference schedule.
And after that Maryland game, there's one more game at the Players Era that's to be determined, which could be St. John's, could be Houston.
Not to mention a very tough WCC. Look at the West Coast Conference, and certainly what Randy Bennett's done with St. Mary's, Santa Clara, San Francisco. There's some good teams in the WCC. Adam Miller buries a three.
Even Portland's off to a good start this year. Micah Ballou has been sensational in their first 2 games, averaging 17.5 points per game, shooting 55% from 3.
Xavier Brown, timeout OU. 16-point lead for the Zags inside 2.5. By Complete Sports Management, even though he just fouled out, but Graham Ike, a double-double, 19 points, 11 rebounds.
Not so much of their offensive execution in the first half was his great passing from either the elbow or on the block and reading what the defense was giving to him, and he made his impact felt. His efficiency, 9 of 17 shooting, 11 rebounds, 4 assists to go with those 19 points. He's one of the best big men in the country, and it's why this front court with Braden Huff is easily a top 5 front court in college basketball.
The Zags, who have led by as many as 24 here tonight. Mario St. Superi racing up the floor and then blows a layup, but he's fouled. Push from behind, he'll get to the line. As the lead pass going over the top to Mario St. Superi.
And you know what I love there? Little things, right? Like you look at leadership from a team. Graham Ike on the bench was upset that the Zags didn't run to get him up off the floor quicker. And he said, somebody go over there and pick him up. And that's been always a thing for this team. You watch the foul that comes just a little bit underneath, I guess, is where the contact was as he goes down the floor. And it's a little bit late getting to him. They want him up off the floor faster, so they called the teammates.
They called the foul on Jeff Wonkwo as first, and our officiating crew is at the monitor for an official review to see if it should be upgraded from a common foul.
I don't think it will be. I think just leave it where it's at and let's play. You watch him on the takeoff. I'll be honest with you, I don't even know if there was real contact there to be. There's contact there. Is there contact here?
Maybe Wonkwo clipped the left leg of Mario St. Superi.
You're very kind. The contact is there. That's a foul. If you want to call that a foul, that's the foul. It should be on the floor. But instead, it's called here, and there's really nothing there. This is just a common foul. Let's play.
And here we go with 2:22 to go. 82-66 Gonzaga. These two teams last met second round of the NCAA tournament back in March of 2021. That was the year the Zags went to the national championship game. Drew Timme at 30 points in that game, 13 rebounds. Austin Reeves was the leading scorer for Oklahoma in that second round matchup of the NCAA tournament back in 2021.
Now at the line for your Bulldogs, number 17, Mario Saint-Superi.
2 shots for Mario Saint-Superi. All right, we're going to test your knowledge of these two programs. There is one player, Sean, that's played for both Gonzaga and Oklahoma.
Ryan Spangler.
Yes. I knew you'd get it.
I've been up here for 15 years, partner.
Me too.
We've called a lot of games in this arena. Well, actually, this is the first time here, but in this town. I'm staying up here on Tuesday night's game. Creighton, Dave Fleming's coming from that Cal win over Louisville today in the gridiron. He'll be joining me on Tuesday night.
Handle Inocenti missing a 3. Jalen Worley tries to keep it alive, batted out of bounds by Mario Saint-Superi.
You're going to
go the other way.
You're going to go call an NFL football game tomorrow.
Tomorrow, across the state, over to Seattle. Seahawks and Cardinals, ESPN Radio. You're kicking me to the curb for Fleming, huh? Thanks. I know how you work.
Well, I mean, I'm a Giants fan.
Inside 2 minutes. Nigel Pack off the window. He is instant offense.
You start to look at, you see him and Brown combined for 39 of the 68 points for Oklahoma.
Adam Miller. Too strong on the 3. Tyon Grant Foster, an offensive rebound. Double clutches on the putback, has it stripped. And the loose ball chased down, last touch by Emmanuel Inocenti, and it belongs to Oklahoma.
Well, today was big day. I mean, you talk about Alabama making a big appearance in the Big Apple, and they dominated in points off of turnovers in that game against St. John's. Huge win for the Tide. And Cam Boozer, his first game at Cameron, he didn't disappoint. He's going to be a star that you're to talk about, one of the top freshmen in the country. And then Arkansas, Michigan State. How about 19 offensive rebounds for Tom Izzo's team? Doesn't that sound like an Izzo team, right?
Yes.
No, you just get the extra possessions, wear your opponent down. They shot 1 of 14 from 3 on the game, and they won by 3. That's impressive.
I love these big non-conference matchups early. You get a feel for what these teams are about. And this is a great game for both programs here tonight. For both Porter Moser and OU, Mark Few at the other end in Gonzaga. A real test in the first week of the season.
Look, after a long day of college football, you need a reprieve, you need an update on everything. We got you. Tough day for the ACC in football, though, by the way. I mean, you think about Louisville losing, Virginia losing.
Saint-Superi way short on the 3. And it's out of bounds to OU. Well, Bill Belichick got a win today.
That's impressive. I think if you're Oklahoma, here's the questions you're going to have as you get on your plane. How do we secure our defensive glass? 18 offensive rebounds for the Zags. And you look at the SEC. The SEC is the #1 offensive rebounding conference in the country. So if you can't secure your defensive glass, you're in trouble. Because no matter how efficient you can be offensively, and they've been much better here in the second half. They're shooting 48% from the floor. But you're still being outshot by 22 shot attempts on the game.
Partly because the rebounding and also the turnover numbers is Oklahoma's turned it over 16 times to Gonzaga's 7 tonight.
So those are the two things that you look at and you start to say, okay, how can we fix those two things? I think sometimes, you know, coaches innately want to fix everything, right? And you want your team executing right from the start of the season at its very best. It takes time when you have as talented as a transfer class as Oklahoma has. It takes a little bit of time for them to gel. And this was a huge test here tonight to come into Spokane and to play this team. But it's not about just now. It's about how are you going to get ready and how are you going to continue to get better for SEC play. And there's a lot of games between now and then. But the process is each day, let's pick one thing. They were assured 1% better today. Like, right? That's the goal, just to get 1% better. And if that's the goal, if that you're putting that on the shirt, then the 1% is, okay, can we do a little bit better job of the turnovers? Xavier Brown, 5 turnovers. Yeah, you had 19 points, but you had 5 turnovers. Got to take care of the ball and value it a little bit better.
Tate Davis on the drive, coming over across the top. Grant Foster blocks the shot, pulled down by Jalen Worley for Gonzaga. Terrific performance by the Zags, especially in the first half. The second half is a little uneven for the Bulldogs, but Mark Few's team will go to 2-0 with a terrific early season test from Oklahoma.
An A grade for the Zags across the game, and this is a special night for the fans. You know, why is the game played here? Well, you get 300 more students, but you double the attendance, and there's a lot of fans that can't get tickets to go to the Kennel. This is their opportunity to come support this team, and if you want to know what has made the Zags a special program over the years, Mark Few will tell you. It's the community and the buy-in from Spokane that has helped elevate this program, and now year after year they're one of the best in the country, and they look like it tonight.
Gonzaga, an impressive non-conference win in the first week of the season, taking care of Oklahoma here in Spokane. For my partner Sean Farnham and our terrific ESPN crew, Roxy Bernstein from